So I think it's pretty fair. Look, you have your own country. If you're over there, you have your own country. Stay there. We let us have ours. I don't understand the problem. Why is it that everybody else around the world can have their own sovereignty, can have their own country, can have their own system, can have their own sociology, can have their own culture, but when it comes to the United States, oh no, we can't have any of that. No, we can't have our own anything. Well, BS to that. Yes, we can. Yes, we should. And we have had it. So this, put the military on the border. Well, I know that it's kind of difficult to put the military on the border now, considering how much Obama has cut back on the military. Don't have the manpower. That's too bad. Well, new president, we can get the manpower back. It didn't take Reagan too long to rebuild the military after the Carter debacle. Oh, I know Jimmy Carter has gotten some good news recently about his cancer, that it's responding well, doesn't seem to be growing or expanding throughout his bodily systems. So, he's doing okay. But I got to tell you that he's got to be happy to have lived long enough to see another person elected to be construed as the worst president in history. What is he, like 92? Now he can go on to the great beyond with a little bit of peace in his heart, knowing that he is not the worst guy who's ever held that office, that somebody else now holds that title. Let's face it, Carter was not very good to the military either. I don't understand. I know why liberals don't like the military. One, because the military stands for protecting the Constitution and the American people, and that's not what the liberals are all about. They want to change things. They want to do things differently. They want to be more socialist. They don't want to be free market capitalist. They don't want small government. No. They want the big stuff, big government, big laws, big intervention in your daily lives, all that kind of stuff. And they can't. And the military stands in their way. Military is a big obstacle for the left because they're overwhelmingly conservative. Military people are overwhelmingly conservative. And quite frankly, if you're a military person and you're a Democratic supporter, you're an idiot. I have no idea why any military person would ever support any type of liberal or Democrat. Plain as I don't know why that. Never. Wouldn't do it. Shouldn't do it. But I know that with the debate last night, it was from everything that I'm hearing, it was less than stellar. There wasn't any magic moment, although Cruz got in a couple of good jabs there, and Trump got in a couple of good jabs. That's good, and I know that they sort of put Kasich in his place because look. You want to talk about being compassionate. You want to talk about being Christ-like. It is not. Being compassionate and being Christ-like is not having an oversized government that takes care of your every want and need. That's not Christ-like. Christ wouldn't say, well, just give people, hey, Caesar, give everybody what they want. No, it's not what he said. So this overtaxation, which is nothing more than legalized thievery. All it is legalized thievery. You're taking something that somebody else worked hard for. Well, you didn't work for that. Yes, he did. He spent the hours. I don't care if you don't agree with him. If I don't care if he makes $10 an hour, or $100 an hour, or $10,000 an hour. He's the one that put in the hours to earn it, not you. No, so government didn't earn that. Yeah, hey, he didn't build that. Well, government didn't earn that. Because that guy, I'm building something right here. I don't have any government assistance in this. If there's any, well, first of all, I don't want any. But if there's government assistance in this, could somebody tell me what it is? I'm missing it. I'm obviously missing it because I've never seen anything. Maybe. Well, no. Do you even get? You don't get government unless you're a PBS or something. You don't get government assistance to operate a radio station. Put up a new signal. So you know what the government is there to in many instances to create this barrier, this high cost of entry into so many industries. Now, some people will say, well, it's for public safety and public protection, and to some extent, in certain industries, you might be right. If you're going to get in the airline industry, then I want those airplanes to be safe, obviously. I don't want one falling out of the sky on me or my house or my family. I don't want to be in one and have it crash out of the sky. I get that. That's that has a high barrier or high cost of entry. That's fine. But do you realize how difficult it is to buy and own a railroad now? The cost of entry to start a new railroad is prohibitive. Nobody's going to do it. Why is the cost of entry in so many other smaller industries so high? It's a radio station. Why is it going to be so high for a radio station? There is, all you're doing is putting up a transmitter. All you need is a transmitter. And transmitters, unless you're going to put a high power, 100,000 watt station up, transmitters don't have to cost that much. But why is getting a license to broadcast so high? Why is the requirement of having so many types of things for a new radio station? Why do you have to have all that stuff? And why are you creating the cost of entry to be so high that prevents small-time people from getting into it? Prevents them from innovating. Look, you got the same thing with things like Uber and Lyft and these other rideshare companies. They're facing, not necessarily competition is not their biggest obstacle. Their biggest obstacle is the cost or barrier to entry into different cities and municipalities across the country. I know here in my state, the entire state, even the state police have said, okay, yeah, Uber's background check is A-OK. They go a little bit further than we would go in checking somebody's background. So Uber is okay all over the state as far as the state government is concerned, as far as most cities are concerned, as far as the state police are concerned. And then you get out to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, where the mayor, for whatever, he must have something, somebody must have something on him from the taxi conglomerate. Because for whatever reason, he is like saying, well, no, Uber can't come out here because they don't allow us to do the background check. Well, the state police already said they do a deeper background check than the state police do, which means they do a deeper background check than the city of Portsmouth would do. So why are you harassing people in the rideshare industry who are only trying to connect with people who want to utilize the service? Why are you trying to create this high cost of entry or this extremely high barrier to get in to do business? So if I'm in Portsmouth and I want to take an Uber ride, and I call an Uber guy, and an Uber guy comes and picks me up, and a police officer sees you, then they're going to arrest you, the Uber driver. Then you look at the cop, you say, look, I'm the rider. I want the Uber guy. I want the Lyft guy. I don't want the expensive taxi. I want the Uber or the Lyft. And the cop will look at you and say, no, against a city ordinance. What ordinance? The state has already approved it. How the hell can you as a city say no? You can't. I'm just waiting for them to get sued, really. I'm seriously waiting for the city of, and you people out in who call Portsmouth, New Hampshire home, or people who have vacation homes out there, you're going to foot that bill because somebody's going to sue the you-know-what out of the city, and they're going to win. And that means the taxpayers of that city are going to have to foot the bill. And this happens across the country. I say Portsmouth because I know Portsmouth is a vacation town too. There's a lot of people that own vacation property there. It's on the New Hampshire coast. So this is the same thing that's happening all over the country. We have got government agencies that are trying to crush or prevent innovation. Hell, I mean, they don't know anything about innovation because they can't even get documents digitized that need to be digitized. So people can it's cost them $3.5 billion basically just to put one document online. $3 billion for one freaking document. Who does that? I told you about that last night. $3 billion for a document. One. How do you go 200 and, you go $2.5 billion over budget on digitizing a document? I can't even believe it. That the original cost was $500 million. They originally gave them the Department of ICE immigration $500 million to put 95 documents online to digitize 95. $500 million for 95 documents. And $3 billion, and 5 years later, they only got one. And you want to tell me that these are the same people that should be able to determine the cost of entry for just about any other business in the country? They have no clue what they're doing. And yet, the inmates are running the asylum. And I didn't see any of those guys or hear any of those guys or hear any excerpts from any of those guys on the stage last night that said anything to the contrary. Not even from Trump. I didn't hear them say, hey, the cost of entry to do business in this country, it's too high for a lot of industries, for most industries. Nope, didn't hear them say it. And that's the important stuff, folks. That is the real important stuff. Because it shows that if they're talking about that kind of stuff, then they're talking about average everyday working Americans and how the government interacts with average everyday working Americans. You and I. No, instead they're talking about, well, maybe we're going to control the internet and regulate it, or we're going to change the copyright law so now it includes hyperlinks. In other words, again, on the internet which has leveled the playing field for so many, creating a new barrier and increasing the cost of entry to do business on or through the internet. Yeah, I mean that's their whole game plan. It's about control, folks. That's all it's not about anything else. It's about control and monitoring and modifying your behavior. And there wasn't anybody on that stage that talked about attacking that type of belief system so the government gets out of modifying and monitoring your behavior. Didn't hear it. Did anybody else hear it? If you heard it, hey, 603-835-3224 is my number. Let me know. I didn't hear it. Haven't heard any of it. Maybe I didn't watch the debate because I was on the air, but maybe I missed it in the excerpts and the clips that I saw. I didn't hear it. So if you watched the whole debate, did you hear that? I would think that would probably be a big thing to talk about in the news, and even in the alternative media, if somebody said that. I haven't seen it anywhere. Haven't heard any clips of it anywhere. It didn't happen. So again, let me ask. Who do you think's best for the country?